Hello everyone. So today we're going to continue our talk regarding the festival of Purim, and I'm going to tell you a little more details on how it is celebrated. So I've already told you that Jewish men, are encouraged to drink in a joyous and plentiful way, and they are advised or directed to drink to the point that they get intoxicated, symbolizing the same event that the Persian king Xerxes the First, who was Ahasuerus, who got drunk, and in that moment he asked his wife Vashti to dance in front of his friends and councilmen and people in the palace, and then she got offended, and eventually he was without a queen, and then eventually he chose Esther to be the new queen. So they are also directed to get intoxicated and heavily get drunk. Apart from that, it is a tradition to dress up in fancy costumes, and the reason behind this is that Esther, the queen, was told not to be, mentioned that she was actually Jewish and related to Mordecai. So in a way, she was disguising herself as just another Persian woman, or some woman in the Persian Empire, but not necessarily some pagan women in the Persian Empire, and not necessarily an Hebrew or a Jewish woman. So dressing up actually symbolizes that, and that's that thing of this whole story. And there is another interesting fact that I have mentioned already in my previous video, that in the book of Esther, where this story is narrated in the Bible, and the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, is in the entire book of Esther, there is no mention of God. So some Jewish scholars say that this whole story and this whole miraculous, saving of the Jewish people in this whole thing, while Mordecai was very scared, and he started to put ash on his on himself, and he was wearing sacked clothes, a bag of sack, empty sack, which we called a bori in Urdu. It's a bori, in which you put those wheat and rice and stuff. So it's a bag of sack. So he just got rid of his fancy clothes, and he wore dirty clothes, and he put ash on himself, and said that he, and along with his whole Jewish community, is doomed, and there's nothing could be done. The Persian king is also being convinced by Haman, and there's nothing which can be done. And so therefore he started to fast, and started to cry, and pray to God that somehow save us, and why this is happening, why will this happen. So he was so sure that this is the end of him and his entire Jewish community under the Persian Empire. So this also tells us one more thing, that in any circumstances we mustn't lose hope, and we mustn't feel that there is, our God or our divinely help is missing and we're doomed. So because it was a very hopeless situation, therefore the name of God was not mentioned. But it also suggests that even though in the most difficult situations we feel that there is no help from the divine, or how can God do this to us, and where is God when we need him the most? He's absent. So it sounds like that, but even then, in his absence, in the absence of remembering the God still thinks of the people that he loves the most. In this case, it was the Jewish people. So even and it also shows me as a Muslim that, in any given circumstances, or in any hopeless situation that Jewish people are, God still thinks of them, and does miracles for them and saves them from their enemies because of their faith, that they were, even in this difficult situation, rather than running away or doing, you know conspiring or this and that, they were fasting. Esther fasted for 3 days and prayed, and Mordecai also was fasting for 7 days. So they were, although they were like very scared and hopeless, but yet they were praying to God, and they were, fasting. That maybe it's, and then we see Yom Kippur is also a very holiest day for the Jewish people, and on that day they fast, and it's a day of atonement, meaning that they would ask for forgiveness from their God Hashem. And that's what probably Esther and Mordecai and the Jewish people at that time were doing. They were fasting, and they were asking for forgiveness and somehow to be saved by God. So these were the two important things. And also it tells us that, even if we say that what a drunken man, we become judgmental regarding people, and say, when people are drunken, I mean, they're wasted in after being too much drinking, and they're totally wasted, and they make reckless decisions, like the king of Persia, who made an absurd demand from his queen. But in that whole thing that we might see from a very different different angle, we can say how filthy and how bad is this king. But eventually this whole thing, if he hadn't asked this absurd thing to the queen, she wouldn't have offended him, and then Esther wouldn't have been there to save her people. So it also tells us that, even if even with wicked things or bad things, something good can come, and we mustn't lose hope in any circumstances. Similarly, we say that disguising or lying about something, or disguise to be something else and not who you are, is a bad thing. But if Esther would have told the king that she is Jewish when he chose her from the lot of women, probably the king would have refused to marry her and would have wanted a pagan wife. But she, being disclosing her identity and disguising as a common common woman, who is probably a pagan woman of that society, she was able to win his heart and win his trust. And when she told him on the right time that I am Jewish also, so eventually Haman will kill all the Jews, and then he will kill his own queen also. Haman would kill the queen also. So in that case, it tells us that we shouldn't be judgmental of even people who are doing bad or evil. We should not appreciate or commend something bad happening, or some bad habits, or lying, or drinking for that matter. But we mustn't judge the person, but we should dislike or not appreciate something which is inappropriate. But we can never know that something bad could lead to something really beautiful and miraculous. So these are the things that I wanted to put forward in that context. And yeah, so I hope you guys learn from the video and you like the videos. Please comment and tell me how you guys think. And yeah, thank you.